When the newest and final iterations of the praetors came out, in addition to the story being as disappointing as humanly possible, with not only really bad writing, but quashing all the potential Chekhov guns possible that were set up earlier, the praetors were also pretty underwhelming and designed for competitive play, and not as much for big, final, awesome boss type characters. Another thing, with the Saga sides of the card felt like ultimates that were difficult to activate anyways. That is one part of the praetors that is just wrong. With 3 praetors already, I am already able to transform them, get them through all of the steps of a single saga in a turn, and then transform them again on the same turn. Urabrask specifically is able to do it in Modern, sometimes able to do it 3 times, and sometimes I'm able to do it with a second Urabrask on the field and transform him because the backsides aren't legendary. So I have 2 of these insanely overpowered sagas happening at once, so get hyped for that one. Anyways, with Vorinclex, he is probably the most straightforward one. 5 mana, he's a trampler with reach and a 6/6 because of modern game design. He enters and puts 2 forests from into your hand, and for 8 mana you can flip him. So before we go any further, the goal of the deck is to flip him. So we take advantage of the first ability and take advantage of cards such as Exploration that allow us to play multiple lands a turn, including sagas like Azusa's Many Journeys. We will see why sagas are important later. But the easiest way to get an explosive mana rampy start in green are the mana doublers, such as Nissa Who Shakes the World, who is probably the easiest variant of this to remove since she's a scary planeswalker. But also being a planeswalker has advantages in this deck, as we'll see later. But OG Vorinclex can also double our mana while slowing opponents down, and Heartbeat of Spring doubles our mana while our opponents don't try as hard to remove it because they are getting help from it too. Heartbeat of Spring, sleeper best card of the deck, because it does double our mana so quickly, and if we double our mana, we can triple it, we can quadruple it, all of which can be easier when we are making 15 mana a turn so we can play more doublers. But what are we flipping into? The Grand Evolution, of course. When we flip it, we immediately mill 10 cards and take 2 of the creatures from the milled cards and put them on the field. So what behemoths are we going to choose? Kozilek, Blightsteel, Ulamog? Malphus Revolutionary, Pure Imaginative Rascal, Adaptive Spore Singer? Dramatist Puppet. Is this a joke? No, it's actually really effective. You choose 2 creatures out of 10. So you choose 2 that proliferate when they enter, and trigger Vorinclex's 2 other abilities, causing him to transform back into Vorinclex again. The second proliferate trigger also works with the 7+1/+1 counters distributed by the second ability, so make sure you know how to stack the triggers. The final trigger doesn't really do much aside from give your creatures the ability to fight, but that allows for some value from Urban Daggertooth and Core Prowler, but also Skullwinder. The deck has more toolbox approaches and one of spells thanks to Vorinclex's first ability, which we will probably flip because even if he gets removed from the command zone 5 times, we'll have enough mana for him and his ability. Also, he isn't a creature as a saga, so harder to remove, but you can also grab Eternal Witness, Deadwood Treefolk, and Skullwinder to get back whatever cards you want, including Beast Within and Boom Pile. You can start hitting with Kaldheim Vorinclex while getting more counters way faster, and Emrakul, the Promised End, if you need to close out a game a bit faster, but also don't want your graveyard shuffled when you don't want to. So that's why we don't have the self-shufflers. We have Endurance and Loam Dryad to shuffle either our graveyard when we want to replay the cards and remill them, or our opponents when we want to get rid of their graveyard synergies. Also, this is easier to cast between the mana and the big graveyard, and when you do, you can force the blue player that's always going to be there to counter their spells. And speaking of extra turns, they will probably try interacting with you, so you play Seed Time in response and get an extra turn, get an extra Saga trigger, extra chance to flip Vorboy, an extra Walker ability, an extra card, an extra opportunity to proliferate everything, including Staff of the Magistrate and Gonti's Ether Heart, which will in turn get you more turns. Yes, this is also a mono green extra turn deck. Sadly, because it's green, it doesn't go infinite. How tragic. Green doesn't have access to infinite extra turns. The color probably can never recover. But still, it goes super hard. Do green creatures seriously need another turn to hit someone in the face? With 3 players, yes. For a big, beefy green boy deck, this does have a surprising amount of nuance. So honestly, that's why this is really fun.
I got a lot more awesome decks planned, so if you want to see more of them, I suggest hitting that subscribe button. Also, my main channel is going to be allocations now, so I'll be sure to reference a nice little easy subscribe button for them as well. Hope to see you guys next time.